With the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic making gathering together for worship nearly impossible, being able to pray and worship in your own home has never been more important. There's an old tradition in the church of setting aside a space in one's home for prayer and worship. Something as simple as hanging a cross on a wall that goes all the way back to the 2nd century, the very beginning of the church, to a more elaborate setup like a home altar that I've got here. I wanted to show you my home altar in case you needed some ideas on what you could do to set aside a space in your home for worship. So a home altar is nothing more than a table or a shelf or even a corner or a place that you have set aside to help you pray and worship. It serves as a focus because of course you can pray anywhere inside your house or outside of your house. But I know that people like me sometimes need something to focus on, something to gather us in, and a home altar does that. So some of the things I've got on my home altar, first of course I've got a cross. This was a project that Deacon Jody put together last year, and it has these little hangings that go with the liturgical seasons. So I've got blue is on there for Advent because that's the season we're in. I've got green for ordinary time, red for Pentecost and Reformation and days for the martyrs. I've got white for Christmas, Easter, and other saints, and purple for Lent. So I'm pretty much covered on all the colors. Most of the time I only need to put one on for a few weeks. Unless it's green, then it's on for much longer. And occasionally during the week, if I remember that it's a day dedicated to a saint or a martyr, I'll switch out the proper color. But the cross, of course, sits in the center of the altar and is its focus. I've got quite a few candles set up. One is a candle, an oil lamp actually, that comes from the Taizé ecumenical monastic community in France that I had the pleasure of visiting for one day. One is just a candle because I like fire and it smells good. Two are up top, and they are near pictures and memorials to those that Debbie and I have lost. And I plan to add more as soon as I can get some more pictures printed and put out. So my grandparents are up there, as is a photo and a memorial box for the unborn child we lost before Jordan was born. I've also got one of the candles that Deacon Joni made out of last year's Paschal candle. It is not lit because I used it so much that it ran out and no longer lights. I've also got my different prayer beads. This is a Lutheran set of prayer beads that I'm quite fond of. These beads are made with olive wood from olive trees in Bethlehem. This one was a gift to me by someone who learned how to make prayer beads and thought I could use them. These are Anglican prayer beads, also known as ecumenical prayer beads. And then I've got a wreath of Christ, which is a Swedish Lutheran church invention. I've also made a larger set of these for Jordan that he can have, even though he doesn't quite know what to do with them. Over here, I've got different books that I use when I do my daily prayer. I've got, of course, a hymnal, which has services for morning prayer, evening prayer, night prayer, and then something called responsive prayer, which is just sort of a general, any praying time thing. Of course, it's got all of our hymns and all of our other services in there. If you don't have a hymnal at home, second to a Bible, this is the most important thing you can have in your home. I can help you get a hymnal temporarily if you would like one until you can buy one of your own. And if you need help buying one, I'm even willing to help you with that. This other book is called Bread for the Day. It is a book that for each day has a reading from the daily lectionary of our church, printed out, and then other readings as well, a hymn suggestion and a prayer. Highly recommend this book. The Young Adult Bible Study used this book for quite a while to help them with their Bible studies. I, of course, have a Bible. No home altar would be complete without a Bible. And I also keep here my prayer journal, and this is where I write down any prayer requests I receive. So when you ask me to pray for you, I don't just say, yes, I'll pray for you, and then I'll forget about it later. I write it down in this book so that I can remember to pray for you, or for anyone you ask me to pray for. Down here on this lower shelf, I've got other books. I have recently been into researching a lot more about the daily office, the set-aside times for prayer that have a long history in the church. In our hymnal, the services of morning prayer, evening prayer, night prayer, those are drawn from the daily office. And Luther in his reforms kept especially morning and evening prayer and thought they were really important. But I've also got down here the books For All the Saints, which is a prayer book for and by the church, for the Lutheran Church. I've got the Lutheran Brotherhood prayer book, which is another version of the daily offices. And right now, for the season of Advent, I decided to use this one, Oremus, a Lutheran Breviary. It is a beast of a book. These down here are not so much For All the Saints, but especially Oremus and the Brotherhood prayer book are definitely more oriented toward those who have the time to spend hours in prayer every day. I don't use all of the services in them, but I try to use them as much as possible. I've also got down here some of Jordan's prayer books. Every so often we pull these out, and before bed I'll say a few prayers with him. My hope is that someday he will be old enough that he can pray here as well. If you're going to set up your own home altar, all you need, as I said before, is either a little table or a shelf, or just a chair set aside in a specific place for you to pray. A cross is handy. The ancient tradition is to put this against the east wall in your house, or an east wall. I put this one in one of the few spaces we still had around that would fit. It just so happens it is an east wall, but that wasn't intentional. You can put it anywhere. And all you need is that little space, and maybe a prayer book or a hymnal or even a card with a prayer on it. Just something to help you focus every day and get in a little bit of time for prayer. Maybe it's you say a prayer before bedtime, or you say a prayer when you first get up. And then if you want to do more, if you want to maybe start praying something like an abbreviated form of morning prayer, you can do that. And then if you're really comfortable and you want to add evening prayer, you can do that. Don't feel like you have to do everything every day. Do what you can. Pray a little bit. Of course, if you need suggestions or need help, I am more than happy to offer you resources that I think will be helpful. And then let your space grow. I hope in time to add at least one icon to this space. It would be nice to have some holy water here. There's no reason I don't have that. I just haven't done it. But this whole setup helps me focus when I need to pray. So if you're thinking about doing the same thing, let me know. I'd love to see what you come up with. I'd love to help you set it up. I'd love to help you consecrate and bless it if you would like me to. But all that's important is that you find time to focus and pray, since we can't gather together as much as we have. I look forward to seeing and hearing about what you get up to and the work you put into your spirituality and your prayer life. So let me know what's going on. Let me know what you come up with. And God bless us until we can meet again.